Hi, Stefan. Are you Stefan? Julian, still Julian. Hello, Stefan. Yes, I can hear you. Ah, Christian, okay. Okay. I can only see GSGS'21, so I don't know who is there. Mm-hmm. The chair of this.
So now it's better. Well, however, I have a voice that's reach the end of the room. So I'm very happy to present you to the audience through your speaker this afternoon, introducing speech with the learning through play, myth or reality. I'm really looking forward to see what you're going to say to us and present to us because it's very interesting. Thanks a lot. Talks is yours.
Thank you very much for your nice introduction and good afternoon to everyone. I'm Eric Sanchez. I am professor at the University of Geneva, and my research work concerned game-based learning in museum and learning game design and the teacher's role as game master as well. The question that I want to address this afternoon is learning through play, myth or reality. I want to talk about the reality of learning when it comes to play, and this is something that is not so easy to say at the moment. I think this talk is based. Sorry, I want to change it. Oh, yes, it was. This talk is based on a recent book that I published in last October. I wrote this book with my colleague Margarita Romero from the University of Nice. And in this book, we addressed 9 myths about game-based learning. And today I will address four of them. The first one is about game-based learning is a brand new idea. This is something that I still hear from practitioners, from teachers, or sometimes from researchers. But what we can say at the moment is that we know from the works that was carried out by some colleagues from the University in Fribourg in Switzerland that we have many paintings. I think it's almost 50 that was found on many Greek vases. And this painting represents 2 warriors. They are Achilles and Ajax. And Achilles and Ajax are in their tent during the Trojan War. They are supposed to make a war. They are supposed to be in the battle, but what they do is playing. They play a game, and the name of the game is the game, the 5 lines game. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. The 5 lines game. My colleagues from the University of Fribourg, Véronique Dazen, interprets this painting, and she said that despite she said that the ancient Greece, in the ancient Greece, gaming was really important, and there were two reasons for playing gaming during the ancient Greece. The first reason was about to develop the strategic skill, and it's really important for a warrior to develop his strategic skills. And the second reason was that the warriors want to call Athena, the goddess of war. It's important to play, and it's a way to call Athena the goddess of war. It means that in the Greek antiquity, playing was considered to be extremely serious, and it was connected to learning. And this idea is also supported by the fact that in the language, the Greek language, school and games have the same root. The same roots is paideia. And in Latin, ludus means both school or play. So now we tend to separate work and game. We separate serious and game, but in the antiquity, it was not the case at all. In this culture, this idea that play should be separated and opposed to work or serious just emerged during when the Christianity developed. So it's an invention of Christianity to separate game and play and serious and work. However, Christianity is not totally opposed to game-based learning. For example, this game was played in the early 20th century, and it's a goose game, and it was played in the Catholic schools in France. And for this game, when the player moves his pawn, there is a risk to fall in a cell of the game board, which is a cardinal sin. And if you fall in the cardinal sin, so you have to wait or you have to go back. And if you avoid the cardinal sin, it means that you will manage to go to the end of the game, and the end of the game is a paradise. So if you avoid cardinal sin, you will enter paradise. So the game is intended to teach young people some basic knowledge about the Catholic religion. So I think it's one of the first serious games that I know from school in France or Switzerland. Of course, something happened with the development of ICT, and since almost 30 years now, with the development of digital technology and the internet, we are now able to develop learning games that are used to teach medical emergency, banking, trading, or computing. But I'm sure that you know this kind of game, and it's not necessary to convince you that there are many games that are used. That use ICT to in my team, we have developed a wide diversity of games who are dedicated to educational purposes. For example, some members of my team developed a recent escape game dedicated to train pre-service teachers the use of ICT in school or at university. I will go back to this game later on. So the first bit is about game-based learning is a brand new idea. Of course, it's a myth, and it means it's not a brand new idea at all. Game-based learning was already used some thousand years ago, and what is due is that digital technologies offer new opportunities for game-based learning, and that more and more people are interested in game-based learning. The second myth that I want to address is learning games are considered to be educational tricks. Most people that learning games and gamification have the power to motivate students to learn and to trick students, to help students to think that it's not an exercise, a school exercise, but a game. Again, this idea is not new at all. It has been put forward by Erasmus. And Erasmus was the teacher of the children of the Duke of Burgundy. And Erasmus decided to write a treaty of education, a book about education. And what says Erasmus is that he wrote that the children are not able to understand that it is important to learn. And he wrote that the teachers should hide school work under a player of play. This approach has been called the chocolate colored broccoli approach by Brugman in 1999, and it means that it is expected that the bitterness of the broccoli will be hidden under the sugar of the chocolate. But what will happen for sure is that the bitterness is still there. The bitterness of the broccoli is still there, and the trick will not work anymore. Research provides little evidence about the effect of game-based learning and gamification on students' motivation. For example, a recent meta-analysis from Vutos shows that there is no evidence that game-based learning fosters student motivation. And this is confirmed by a colleague from the University of Tampere in Finland, who shows that motivation depends more on the context and especially the teacher who helps the students to play the game. This different terms are now used to describe how it's possible to influence people behavior with games, and the term of edutainment, which means a combination of between education and entertainment. I like the term also nudge education. The term nudge refers to all smoothly influencing people without force. You can influence people smoothly without force, and most of you know, for example, this example that you have observed in the toilets, in the urinal. Now we can find some bees, and the bees is there because we know from this bee that if you put a bee in the urinal, then the results will be that the urinal will be more I miss the word in English, sorry, clean, will be clean, and this is a small thing, a small bee that influence the behavior of people. So nudge education means that some affordance may have a huge influence on learning. Sorry, can you hear the sound of the video? Can you hear the sound of the video?
No, I'm afraid not.
No, okay. No, it's perfect. I don't want to put the sound. I just try to. Okay. Sorry. I'm sure that you know this video. This video has been recorded in Stockholm, and it's a video who intend to prove that it's possible to have an influence on people's behavior. And this video comes from the decision of the mayor of Stockholm, who would like to have inhabitants more healthy, and in a way the way to make inhabitants more healthy is to push them to make more physical exercise. And then the question becomes how to influence people so that they stop to use the mechanical stair and start to use normal stair. And what happened here is that they managed to transform the stair into a piano, and the result is that more people prefer to use the piano stair, and they don't use the mechanical stair. So you can influence people with gamification, with making the situation like a game. A similar approach has been used for this game, which is called Classcraft. It's a game has been designed by one of my former students in the University of Sherbrooke in Canada. And Classcraft is a role-play game dedicated to classroom management. The students play by teams or from 3 or 4 players, and they can be healers or mages or warriors. The teacher is a game master. Depending on their classroom behavior, the students will lose or earn points. And they can use the points to buy specific powers, and some powers have a real impact in the classroom. For example, students may buy an invisibility cloak, and then in case of if he is late at class, he is protected from the punishment of the teacher by his invisibility cloak. So it's a role-play game dedicated to classroom management, and this game intends to try to influence the behavior of the students. And the powers that the students buy can be used also to help a teammate, for example, in case if a teammate has some difficulty. And so Classcraft aims to promote relatedness and collaboration within the classroom. There are different tools that are used for Classcraft, and the teacher can use Classcraft to choose a random students, for example, to participate to a challenge. And depending on the answer of the students, his team will earn or lose points. There are many other available tools. There is, for example, a sonometer. And in case if the students are too noisy during a work group, the sonometer makes that all the students will lose points. So there are many tools in Classcraft that are used for classroom management and to influence the good behavior of the students. This is the dashboard of Classcraft, and the teacher with the game master can have an idea about the avatar of the students, the number of points that have been earned or lose. It can have information about the power that the students buy, etc., etc. So the teacher is the game master. We conducted research on the use of Classcraft, and I will go deeper into the results. But what we observe is the positive impact on students' behavior in terms of complying with the rules and engagement into learning activities. The students also said that the game was the opportunity to be responsible for their behavior, and they also said that they appreciated that the game master, the teacher, is not only involved in punishing the students because of their bad behavior, but also reward the students because of their good behavior. So the game didn't change only the behavior of the students, but also the behavior of the teacher. I would like to compare what happened in an ordinary class and what happened in a class where Classcraft is used. In terms of operation, I mean, what do the students? We can say that there is no differences between what the students are expected to do in normal class in in the class with Classcraft, because they are supposed to have a good attitude, a good behavior, adapted to the group's context. So there's no change regarding what the students are supposed to do. There is no change about the action, the reason, or the why, about why the students are involved in the classroom, because both they are supposed to adopt a specific behavior, and the specific behaviors depends on the school rules or depends on the game rules. But the rules are the same, it's exactly the same. The school rules and the game rules are exactly the same. And finally, the difference is only in the meaning, lies only in the meaning of the behavior. Because the students who comply with the rules in an ordinary class want to succeed at school. They want to succeed at school, they want to be good students. But the students who comply with the rules in the game want to succeed in the game. They want to succeed, they want to earn points by specific borders. In other words, the game changed the meaning of the student's experience in the classroom, and Goffman called this change a frame transformation. The meaning of the school is changed, and there is a frame transformation. And the frame is a set of concepts and theoretical perspective that organize the experience. So the experience of the students is changed. And as a result, the teacher should take the role of an engineer of playful frames that extend the game world to the classroom. So the role of the teacher is really important and should be the role of the game master that is able to extend the game world into the classroom. The result is that gamification and learning games should not seen as educational tricks. We should instead consider their intrinsic educational properties. And I think that there are three intrinsic educational properties for game. The first one is devolution. It means that the students will accept the responsibility for solving the problem. This is not often the case in an ordinary class. The student strategy in an ordinary class merely consists of guessing the answer of the teacher, expected by the teacher. With learning games, this strategy doesn't work anymore, and the students need to really address the problem in order to find a solution. So I think that the first intrinsic educational property is that the game fosters devolution, the appropriation of the problem by the students. The second intrinsic educational property is autonomy. Autonomy means that both the freedom that the students will have the freedom to, for example, to experience different misconception and strategy. They have freedom and they can make a mistake. But this strategy is framed by the automatic feedbacks that come from the game. And for the students, it's always possible to say, I'm right or I'm wrong. And they have the possibility to change their way of behaving and thinking. This is the case in Classcraft when they change their behavior in the classroom because they lose point of all the earned points. And the last educational property is about failures and mistake. I mean that failures and mistake are of great importance for learning. However, for ordinary classes, the students try to avoid failure and mistakes because they don't want to keep a good image for the teacher. With game-based learning, failures and mistakes are just normal, and game over is not a big problem. It's always possible to restart the game and to try again. So the error in the games are de-dramatized, and it's important. It's an important educational property, I think. These ideas comes from the work from Rousseau and Sophie. You will find it in the literature. So I think that we don't choose the proper term when it comes to introduce games or to make the situation like games in the classroom. The term gamifications means literally to create a game, but it's not about the problem is not to create a game. The problem is what I said according to what I said about Classcraft. The problem is it's not about creating a game, but about to change the meaning of the situation and to transform the experience, the frame experience. It's why I advocate for the use of the term ludicization. The suffix "icizations" emphasize the transformation and that concern the player and the effort that are made to make the situation playful. So the term ludicization is a way to focus not on the game but on the experience of the play. So I don't think that learning games are educational tricks. I think that they have educational properties, intrinsic educational properties. So I think it's a myth. The third issue that I want to address is that I want to examine the teacher roles in game-based learning. We know that the work done by John Hattie, for example, that the teacher is extremely important for ordinary classes. However, we have very limited studies about the teacher roles for game-based learning, and this role is often neglected by students, by research students. I want to go back to Classcraft to illustrate the ideas that I will put forward, and to give you an overview of some research that came from the work of one of my PhD students, whose name is Guillaume Bonvin. The study has been conducted with secondary school classes in Switzerland and Brazil. And the purpose was not to compare the classes, but to carry out an experimentation with Classcraft in two different, very different contexts. We recorded the digital traces of students and teachers' interaction with the game. And here on the figure, each bar represents the number of interactions for one student. Each bar is for one student, and the colors represent different types of interaction. For example, blue is a loss of point, orange you earn points, and green, etc. You have different interaction. The first lesson that we learned from this study is that there is a huge variability among students in terms of engagement and strategies. For example, students 17 is extremely active and use power to help his teammates, while student 22 is not really active and uses his power only for himself. This variability is not a surprise. The game offers the students freedom and the opportunity to play as they want. But you can see on this figure that the variability is extremely important. We also collected the trace from the teachers, and we had a look to the teacher profiles. The digital traces show what the teacher did. Each bar here represents 1 week. You can read what happened during the whole school year from the left to the right. On the upper side, it's for Brazil, and down, it's for Switzerland. Each color represents, again, one type of interaction within the game. And as you can see, the colors are really different between Brazilian teachers and Swiss teachers. In particular, for the Brazilian teacher, the color orange means that the rewards that the teacher rewards the students with gold pieces with the game. Then it means that the students succeed within the game. The blue, red, and violin color of the Swiss teachers mean that they reward or punish the students depending on if they comply or not with the classroom rules. In other words, third the teacher use the same game, they perform two different classroom management. The Brazilian teacher is focused on student engagement, while Swiss teachers are focused on classroom rules. These studies show that the teacher is of great importance regarding the way the game is played by the students. So the teacher role should not be neglected. I think it's a myth if we don't take into consideration the important role of the teacher, and I advocate for more research about the teacher roles for game-based learning. And this will be the last myth that I want to address. The myth is about we learn better by playing, and I want to address the issue about the supposed positive effect of game-based learning. This issue is addressed by Maud Plumet-Tassiber, another PhD student from my team. And Maud carried out a study about programming game. It's a learning game dedicated to computational thinking, to computing education. And with programming game, the students are expected to learn through programming. It's used in Switzerland in secondary class. The game consists of writing algorithms so that the character can move and meet another character. There are more than 20 levels, and they are more and more complex. The students learn what is variable or a loop, etc. And Maud managed to show that since the students manage to succeed in the game, they are not aware of that they learn something from the game. As a result, there is a risk that the knowledge of the game that the students get with the game is not transferable. In other words, the students learn how to play, but they don't learn computing. It means that something is missing for the learning scenario. And what is missing is the debriefing. I think it's really important to think about the debriefing when it comes to think about game-based learning for the students. And Mo's work emphasizes the importance of the debriefing for game-based learning. She developed a model, a four-dimensional model of the debriefing. One dimension of the model relates to the feeling expressed by the students. The students are invited to express what they felt by playing. It might be the frustration of failure or the pleasure to succeed. This dimension helps the students to leave the game and to come back to the classroom. Another dimension is directly related to the transfer of knowledge. The students are invited to imagine how they will apply the knowledge in the future. She called this dimension generalization. And the three other dimensions consist of specific work carried out on the knowledge. The debriefing enables the students to become aware of what they learned. They will be conscious that they develop specific knowledge that was necessary to address a challenge within the game. And for example, they know that they master a specific programming language. So the debriefing helps the students to distinguish what they did and what they learned. During the debriefing, the teacher name and validate the knowledge. For example, he will explain what is loop or a variable is. And he will explain, for example, that the loop is a good way to maximize algorithm, or to give or he will give the definition of a variable. So I don't think that we learn better by playing. If we come back to the question that I asked at the beginning of this presentation, I can say that again that the teacher is of great importance for game-based learning. His role consists of helping the students to be aware about what they learned and to make possible that the knowledge will be transferable. In other words, I think that the player does not learn through playing. I think that the students learn from if he manage to reflect on his playful experience during the debriefing. So he don't learn from the game, but learn by reflecting on his experience on the game. So again, it's a miss. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope that my presentation will offer us the opportunity to have some questions now. I'm sorry to be not face-to-face to discuss with you, but actually I'm supposed to participate to another conference here. That's why I'm not in Switzerland. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric, for this very interesting presentation. Thank you for having us travel through time and game culture. I've taken quite a lot of notes, and the several steps you present to us. At the end, I have some questions, but I will leave the place for the audience to ask some if they have. Otherwise, I will go ahead with anyone with questions. Yes?
So what is the bottom line of the advice for teachers in using game? How would you summarize your views at the moment, your understanding?
How would you summarize your understanding of the teacher and the games? That's right.
I think that first, the teacher should be able to make possible that the students will play. I mean, there is the student has a role with for the briefing, for the beginning of the game. Second, I think that the teacher role is important as game master. He is responsible not only about that the students will comply with the rules of the game, but that the student will stay into the narrative. I mean that the students will play the game, will accept to enter in this universe of the game. And it's not my idea. It's come from, for example, the work from Moline. And third, I think it's important that the teacher will make able that in French we have two words. We say connaissance and we say savoir, and it's very different. When we say connaissance, we mean that it's subjective. It's something that is situated. I mean, it's related to a situation, and it's related to an individual. But the problem is that this knowledge, this connaissance, is not transferable. If we want to transfer this connaissance, we need to transform this connaissance into savoir, which means the knowledge that is transferable and not linked to one individual. So the teacher has a role during the briefing. So my answer is briefing, keeping the students into the game, and also the debriefing.
Thank you. I think I didn't do something which was exactly doing the briefing or the debriefing of your speech. So I could do it quite quickly. So you talked to us about the travel through time, as I said, the learning games, educational tricks. And I would say that actually what I catch up was the fact that do we play to learn or do we learn to play? This is a question, and it could be come back at the end.
I just get the same question 2 hours ago from my conference. It's why I'm smiling. Yes, I think it's a good question. Of course, we have to learn how to play first. I think because we have to learn the rule of the game if we want to have a fair play for example. But I don't think that we'll learn directly from play. We think that play is an opportunity to have an experience. Sometimes a very emotive experience. We can feel a very strong affect and a very strong emotion when we play. And then, if we want to learn from this experience, we have to leave the game and to reflect about this experience. This is, I think, something very important to understand. Each time that I ask the students after the game, what did you learn? They say, we learned to play. We play. We don't learn anything. We learn to play. But then, if you go deeper and you talk with them about their feeling, about what they did, about how they did it. So if you manage to debrief the students, then you start to make possible that they will be aware of they learn something and that this knowledge will be transferable to another situation.
Thank you. I keep with the debriefing. So we went through the piano escalator. And we discovered that people prefer to use the piano stair instead of taking the stairs, the escalator. The Classcraft, the intrinsic indicational property of games, and the explanation of the gamification and the words, and finally the debriefing. And it seems that the debriefing seems to be very important for you as a way to relieve the whole experience.
It's a way to, again, it's a way to manage. For example, when you play a game about in physics about forces, maybe you will be able to apply correctly the forces in a way to change the trajectory of the object. And you will learn how to apply the forces. I know many games for that. For example, Mechanica, the students, it's easy. In 1 hour, they manage to apply correctly the flag, and they change their misconception about forces. But they learn nothing about forces. I mean, they don't know that what they did, the name is forces. They don't know the definition of what is forces. But the combination of the playing experience and the explanation from the teacher helps the students to, based on this experience, to have a better understanding of what is forces. So I advocate for game-based learning, of course, but I just want to say that it's not enough. It's not enough to make people, to make students to play. We have to offer them the opportunity to reflect about this experience. And the teacher should act during the debriefing as an expert who explain why they experiment these forces and all the forces, for example, were interacting during the game. And then the students are really eager to understand, because they had this good or bad experience. Sometimes it's a bad experience because when you play, you lose sometimes, and then you are really you want to understand, and then you start to learn something.
Thank you. Has anyone a question? To keep going. I have a few minutes. You still have a few minutes. You have another session, right? No?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I have a few minutes. I'm free until 3 p.m.
I have still one question about all your speech, which is based on the consciousness of playing. Is the consciousness of playing a key in the process of gamification? I mean, the student should be conscious to play or not, or advised that they are playing?
I think, but I don't have any research work about this issue from myself, and I read almost nothing about that. But I think that the player is always aware that he's playing. Otherwise, there is a problem. If the player doesn't understand or that is not aware that he's playing, it means that he is not able to make the difference between the real world and the world of play, and then it's a pathology for I think in my eyes. I think that good players are really involved. They are deeply involved. There is a flow and so on and so on. Otherwise, they are always able to say, "Okay, stop. I want to stop this game because I don't want to play this to comply with this rule or something like that." So I think the players should be able to make the difference between the real world and play, and is always aware about that. I think it's really important, and I think also that there is an issue about the fact that we should carry out media education to help students to understand what is a game, and all behind games you can find ideology or ideas that are not necessarily extremely good ideas.
Would it mean that it means that students should have education on education, educated about the game to be educated?
Yes, exactly. You should be educated about games. We miss this kind of. They are educated about media, about social media, not enough. But they are almost not educated about game. And game is a really important media, because with game you can disseminate ideologies or ideas that are not necessarily good, and they should be able to reflect about the game itself, and to know, to understand, to be aware that it's a game, and the game master or the game designer decided to put this idea in the game, but I'm not happy with this idea, because I'm able to have a step behind and to see the game as something that I can analyze and study, etc.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot. Anyone has a last question? If not, I would have one last, which is on your topic about the intrinsic educational properties of games, and you talked about failure and mistake to de-dramatize. And I would ask you if you consider that de-dramatizing the failure is a good asset in a concrete life.
Sorry, it's a good asset in a
concrete life. I mean, facing for studies, for example.
Of course it is, but it's very difficult, because the teacher tried to de-dramatize failures and mistake, because they know that if you don't make failures and mistakes, you will not learn. It's important to make failures. Failures are important because it helps you to be aware that you have misconception. So until I'm not managed to be aware of my misconception, I will not learn. I think that it's a good way to act, and I keep this way of acting. And then when I manage to understand that, okay, that it doesn't work, it's a failure, so then I can start to work. However, in the real class, it's really, in the concrete class, it's not really, it's very difficult, because the students know that even if the teachers say, make failures, make mistakes, it's not a problem. They know that the image of themselves will be affected by these failures and mistakes. So they try to avoid mistakes, they try to avoid failures, and then they don't learn. But in games, it's not a problem, because the teacher disappears. The teacher is a game master, but they don't really. The player is not them. The player is their avatar, for example. And then if we have failures and mistakes, this is a fault of the avatar. So I mean, they are protected from failures and mistakes.
Thanks a lot, Eric Sanchez. We are reaching
Thank
the end
Thank
of
you
our...
very much.
Sorry.
No, I say thank you very much.
Thanks
for
to you.
this. Thank you.
So we are going to close the session and start the other session. So have a nice other intervention.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
So we are a little bit late. So we follow up on the next speech. I guess everybody is fine with that. So no, you're not ready. Oh, okay. So let's have a 5-minute breaks, and then we come back and start with comparing a game versus non-game approach for planned provenance public education from Greg Docherty. I think he's trying to make the connection because the guy, he's from United States, so. We'll wait for a few minutes. Ok, mais alors lui, il parle français, enfin, oh, Greg. Oh, hi, Greg. You hear me?
Good afternoon. Yeah, I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, thanks. We're about to start the presentation. So you're from the Massachusetts?
The University of Stirling.
Oh, no, you're from UK. Okay. Sorry. So there are no jet lag.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So everybody, let's start. So we are really pleased to welcome Greg. Sorry if missay your name. Doherty?
Doherty, yes.
Doherty, okay. Oh, it's Scottish. He's going to talk about his presentation, which is comparing a game versus non-game approach for planned provenance public education. The talk is yours, and we'll launch the video first.
Hello there, and thank you for joining me as I discuss comparing a game versus non-game approach for plant provenance public education. My name's Craig. This is a joint work with Dr. Savi Maharaj, Professor Alistair Rutherford, and Dr. Glyn Jones. Before diving into the experiment itself, I'd like to start with why plant provenance in educating the public matters. Plants, hereafter meaning trees and plants, can bring pests and pathogens with them when imported to a country. The recent introduction of one such pathogen in the United Kingdom, ash dieback, prompted the UK government to focus more on engaging the general public to help protect the country from other future potential invasive pests and pathogens. Introducing serious games to tree and plant health public education is a novel approach. We have positioned our research to compare information that may be presented via leaflets or similar media in the context of a game and without a game. We are specifically interested in exploring whether the game or non-game context has any impact on the ability of the participant to learn the information we present. Our previous work indicated that perceived levels of enjoyment by the participant had an impact on their performance. So we look at enjoyment in the round as well. But we're also interested in the longer-term retention of the information we present, as the participant may actually learn it some weeks before they need to use it. Therefore, we have a two-phase structure in the experiment, with phase 2 being introduced 3 weeks after phase 1. Phase 1 of our experiment uses an HTML5 application, which we developed using Unity 3D. And phase 2 uses a survey platform, onlinesurveys.ac.uk. We have 4 sets of information in the experiment that the participant must engage with and learn from. And we have some rules around those sets. For example, each information set must be read at least once, but the participant can read each set as many times as they like. And for the sets, each one has a combination of text and pictures, and crucially, there's no difference in content between the game and non-game contexts. And our sets cover plant provenance and 3 threats that we have interest in. 1, the oak processionary moth, has unfortunately already arrived in the United Kingdom. 2 others, the emerald ash borer and the pathogen Xylella fastidiosa, have not yet arrived, thankfully, so we wish to educate on what the impact could be if they did. And our experiment, as we say, is structured into a game and non-game strand, but we do start with all participants at the same place, and we assign them to one of the control groups, or the experiment or control. And for the non-game, the control group, our participant can read the information sets in any order they choose and as many times as they like. The game is a bit different. In there, the participant is primed with the plant provenance information. We want them to learn it and to use that information to complete the game, to win the game. Then they go on to the game proper, where they're role-playing as a landscaper for a park that's being renovated. And their objective is to select the plant products and place them in the park to complete the renovation. In our game, we simulate risk through the lens of plant provenance. So our British plants hold the least imported risk threat level, whereas plants from other international locations, known hotspots of the threats we're interested in, do have higher risk ratings. Once the game is complete, we give the participant a ranking rating that is commensurate with the level of risk that they have introduced. So a 3-star rating and the title of Master Gardener means that no risk has been introduced to their park. They can play the game again if they wish, and they then go to the same information screens that the non-game treatment would have, and can read the information as many times as they like and in any order they so wish. All participants then rejoin, and we give them a 16-question quiz based on the information they've just learned. We also ask them a few questions about how they've enjoyed themselves and if they feel they've learned anything during their experience. And 3 weeks later, as we say, they then get the Phase 2 survey quiz through online surveys that has a second round of 22 questions, comprising the original 16 in Phase 1 and 6 new questions drawn from the same information set. And so we turn now to our results. We had 42 participants join us for Phase 1, split between our game and non-game groups, and 23 who returned for Phase 2, again split between our game and non-game groups. In Phase 1, we discovered that when looking at enjoyment, participants that reported a perceived knowledge gain of a lot compared to none are statistically significantly more likely to have an enjoyable experience. And in Phase 2, for the original 16 questions that are common between Phase 1 and Phase 2, whether a participant enjoyed their experience at levels of enjoyed or very enjoyable compared to disliked, we see an impact or has an impact on them being more likely to have a winning score, that being more questions right than wrong. And when both question sets are combined, all 22 questions, only a reported level of enjoyment of enjoyed, again compared to disliked, was indicative of reaching that same winning state. And in both phases, we see no strong or consistent evidence that the game itself had any consistently significant impact on the ability of the participant to perform better than or enjoy themselves more than the non-game treatment. And the same is true for negatively experiencing things as well. And there are some next steps we'd like to do. Firstly, we had some mobile issues and we'd like to fix that so people can participate on mobile devices. But more interestingly, we see enjoyment as an interesting variable to explore. And what does it actually mean? Do the types of game presented matter for enjoyment? What about the demographic of participant and matching that to the type of game? But also the medium. We used a web-based game. What if we had a tablet-based game in a botanic garden or a board game? What sort of impact might that have on enjoyment, and what impact then may that have on the ability to learn? And we think this is a really rich theme of future research. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. You can switch on the... Thanks again. So after your speech, anyone has a question to ask about the presentation? Yes?
Thank you very much for your video. I'm not really sure if I understood how the game works. Can you explain maybe a little bit more about what the gameplay was or the mechanics?
Did you understand or not? I reply.
Could you repeat the question for me, please? Yeah.
So the lady didn't understand quite good how does the game works, right?
Okay, so the player basically has to effectively running a shop front. There's a list of different trees and plants that they can select. They must make those choices, and then they will select also in the garden where those particular plants go. So they're role playing in that, I guess, landscape or part. Sorry, my brain is mush today.
Does it answer your question? Any other question about the game or the outcome of? Yeah.
What kind of
What kind of distribution and how is going to be used?
So I don't think this particular game will be used wider. This is more of an initial research phase because we're really trying to explore what can be done in the space, and we'll take learnings from this to then develop future iterations, maybe of the game or different games within the same space.
Thanks a lot. Any other questions? I may have one which is a consideration more, but I just have to find it out. Yeah, so you link the good results to the enjoyment factor, right? This is one of the metrics, enjoyment.
Yes.
In the way to learn or in the way to practice?
Say again, sorry?
In the way to learn or in the way to practice or to play the game, the enjoyment is one of your KPIs at the end.
Yeah, so enjoyment itself was, did they enjoy the experience overall? So everything we presented to them, was that an enjoyable package? Rather than just then, was the game enjoyable or was the information enjoyable? Okay, thank you. I think we are good for this presentation. Thanks a lot. Do you stay? Do you stay for the final or? Yeah? Yep, I'll be around, yeah. Thank you. So we are going to next presentation. I have to make just a short apologize about the planning and the several presentations we should have. The SparkIt, that's right, huh? The SparkIt projects wouldn't be presented this afternoon because the guy, he's stuck somewhere in South America. So we will go straight to the few presentation, and it is called How to Develop an Everyday Superpower for Education from Mela Kocher and Charlotte Axelson from e-learning. So where do they stay here? Or on the other one, on the place?
And just one thing, two things concerning the SparkIt project. There was a presentation this morning concerning this project already, but it was concerning the programming of gamification. This afternoon, it was supposed to be about the education and the impact on their, how students would accept this kind of thing. So that's very unfortunate. The second point is that there's a game concerning the proceeding that is still going on, and I heard there was two person almost.
I don't see the link anywhere on the website for the proceedings.
They are not on the website yet because the conference is not finished. It was open and the QR code is just over there. It will be open just at the end of the end of the conference to the public for the proceeding. And then there's a good prize to be won. Please, please.
We could actually PowerPoint karaoke and the other SparkIt contribution, if you like, to prove our next point.
So you go on the other one. Ouais, ils vont là. C'est où?
Where do we click our?
Où est-ce qu'ils se mettent? Ici?
Go. Ah, good. Kannst du das?
Yes,
Da kann man nachher klicken.
Klicken.
Kann man wieder.
Come with you. If you say that.
Please be seated in front of
Be seated for the mic.
Okay,
I do it.
Hi. Is it mic on?
Is it red or green?
It's red. I think it's.
You push the button.
I push the button.
Okay, I
Just
do it.
push
Okay,
the
now you hear
button.
me. Perfect.
Red button.
I pushed the red button.
No electricity.
Okay. So we have a lot of time, 30 minutes now.
No, we accelerate the process.
Okay, sorry
Go
for
ahead.
that. I have a lot to talk, but I challenging the 7 minutes. Okay, this is not.
You can have
working.
10 minutes.
Okay, I can click. I can give it a try. Okay, hi. This is Mela, this is me, Charlotte. And we want to talk about our new model, which is called FU. And we work at the ZHDK in Zurich. And our topic is e-learning. So I want to write you through the first slide when it works. Perfect. Good. So this is our team. We are some 8 people, and we have some students beside which work in our team too. And why I want to show you people on the first slide, because we have a very human-centered design thinking approach, and we love to work with people. So that is our mission, and if we do so, we have 3 main topics where we work in. We have a knowledge area, we have a technology area, and we have a research and development area, where we want to develop methods, technology, and we want to transform knowledge into a process where you can understand it. So this is actually our university in the times of Corona, so quite empty. But actually there are some people, and the first thing which I want to show you is the modcast. It's a technology, and this technology is kind of a walk through content, and you can explore it on modcast.zhdk.ch, and it's a quite nice and easy tool which is barrier-free for everyone. And we have also on the knowledge sector these events which we meet people and exchange. And that is a second area which is very strong in our team, that we want to communicate with the teacher and the people who work on our university. So that shows also teachers is our target group in the e-learning. And the third part, the development part, I want to present with the FU model. And there we also have, I wrote actually Planet-Centric Design, because we think it a bit bigger, not only human are in the center of our ideas, the planet is also in the center of our idea, and we love to see it from this side to make sustainability. What is Nachhaltigkeit? Sustainability? Yeah, so something like that. So, and this is also a key feature in our idea of the e-learning. So, and from this nice picture, I want to give the word to Mela.
Thank you. So yes, we call this our everyday superpower model. Of course, the pandemic situation also transferred the way that we worked in several dimensions before e-learning at ZHDK. Of course, we were busy trying to educate and help digital literacy at our school with those people who had the time and energy to use Moodle or any kind of digital teaching. And now we transferred 2,000 people into the digital teaching and learning times, which was amazing for us. And we had a lot of hands-on approaches that we implemented every day, but also kind of looking back, we think this has some kind of superpower that we would like to explain you. It's the acronym FU, which stands for Play, Hybrid, Easy, and Walk. I will explain in shortly those components, and they're not always all together come in our work, but sometimes we focus on 2 of them, but sometimes they all kind of influence the way that we work. So we have a playful approach in how we work, how we experiment, how we teach. Also sometimes I show here the die. We like randomness. We believe that randomness sometimes disrupt our everyday path. We think about random design or try to kind of see how far that will take us. Sometimes at workshops, we just assign roles to the participants. Someone has to summarize, someone has to have a little talk or something, and people want to participate, but they don't have to. Hybrid.
I don't know how much you are into the Netflix show Sweet Tooth. I think it's a great picture for hybridity, getting different cultures together, different dimensions, different media. We believe that we already live in a hybrid environment, even before the pandemic, and now we have, of course, teaching scenarios and learning scenarios between analog and digital, synchronous and asynchronous, and that gives us a lot of freedom and expansion in how we bring these dimensions together. We want to have easy approaches, informal, personal, and accessible, also for people who come with not most elaborate technological knowledge, but that everyone can participate. And lastly, we believe in walk or walkabout. This may be literal, that we believe in take a walk, take a break in between the digital madness, but also walking as a way of a distancing, aesthetic distances, reflection of what you do. You see here the flaneur of the 19th century, but also Lucius Burckhardt zoology, which uses the walk to experience and to gather knowledge. I'm going to jump over this. This is one example of having a little ludic interruption of everyday life. I invited a goat into our team meeting. Even Charlotte didn't know about it. Mm-hmm. You can actually hire goats for about €5. And Lola came for us from the UK for about 7 minutes into our Zoom meeting, which was a great interruption. What we would like to shortly share with you is the Digital Walkabout, which is a conference format that we developed for the ELIA conference about expanding the digital arts of the Biennale last year. It was November time when we were all crazy with like Zoom meetings every day. So we wanted people to meet across cultures and across institutes outside. So we used the Zoom app, which you can use to walk around. We had a randomness, a random conversation generator machine that you could access on your phone. So if you wanted, or if you were in search for questions, you would have questions like, what kind of algorithm would you be? What does an email taste like? You were matched randomly together with another person. So I took a half-an-hour walk with a Finnish colleague that I've never met before, and it was really refreshing just to see who will come up and what happens, and if you can show your environment. We went to talk outside, but of course you could also stay inside and see where the conversation will go to. This spelled it out a little bit, the play, hybrid, easy, and walk aspects, because here they all come together. That's why we wanted to show you this example today. We think it was a really ludic, didactic setting, so like a playful setting. It had clear frame. We didn't just match people together and let them be, but of course we had like an introduction. We made sure they all knew what to do, where to be, and we all came together at the end. We didn't really do a classic conference summary, so not everyone had to say what he or she learned. That's why I think it was a little subversive, but we had some whale music, some kind of meditation, so everyone could kind of gather for him or herself what this meant, this experience, what it meant for them, and take it into their day. And I would like to share a quote of Shira Chess, a book author of feministic gaming movement, which I just read on Killscreen the other day. Play is always already an act of resistance, a form of resistance, or résistance. Without resistance, play would be untenable. It would be boring, it's monotonous. An act of play necessitates freedom and rigidity. And I think it's important that play really gives us freedom for creativity and experiences, but it has to be in a good frame, a good communication, a good feedback to, kind of have his power grow.
And the last one, and more like a look in the future, or kind of a Fortuna. We have a toolkit which is called Ella, where you find all our tools and projects, but we will change this toolkit to the experimental learning lab. So in the autumn we change it, and then we will have explorative experiments where we don't know where the end will come, so or what we want to explore to really make experimental learning labs. So I'm very curious how it will go, and actually this is the end.
So if you're interested to play with us, please contact us.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. So, anyone has a question to these ladies? No question, no interrogation.
So maybe I should add that if you come and do workshops with us, you might be encouraged to show your socks on a Zoom meeting, or not just kidding, but we always make a point of having some sort of check-in and check-out. It's important to feel the persons personally or how they are, and then move really to content and learning and sharing, because everyone comes in with a life.
Yes, actually, if I can resume it, it's a kind of behavioral game framework. What you propose?
Or let's say play framework.
Play, yeah, play. Sorry. Yeah,
we are
it's active.
developing some ludic, didactic settings in a way to,
So it's kind of a matrix that you can apply to different types of activity, learning.
Yes, we really, we also kind of analyzed our past work in the past year, and at the art school or School of Art and Design, not everyone is same open for digital literacy, but a lot of people are open for art and performance and experiments. So this is a great setting for us to do experiments with the people and invite them for new learning.
And the output is the platform, or you have something that you collect information after that, or you make a summarize or something?
So we start with the LA Experimental Learning Lab 2 months ago. So we started to summarize over there. And also we have all these workshops where you can come and learn with us. So that is hands-on workshops where you can learn. So we also in the events we share experience also. Okay. So it's very hands-on and in a communication way.
And we will be investing more into research and development. So we're starting a research project also on digital literacy and part of it is the play aspect.
It's experiential. Yes, we have a question.
Exactly on this part of experimenting, you say you are relatively in a way in a place, institute that is open to experimenting with people with different approaches with art and so forth. And this morning in the roundtable it was also said that in other places people are quite rather like led by theory work and very square, let's say, approaches. And I wonder, still in your settings, do you have people that also face resistance to these different approaches?
Yes, I mean, for one thing, we do work with different institutions together. So, of course, not everyone is extremely extroverted, and we tone down our check-in. Also, I mean, if you design games, I also come from game design for the other part, and there you have different player types. So not everyone wants to show their socks. So they can also just say, I wear black socks today, and that's okay too. So we don't do these kind of check-ins with everyone. And we also work together a lot of times on a Miro board, which allows for a kind of a collaboration, creativity, which is accepted by all kinds of participants. Usually you can, of course, create it in a very serious content-based matter, but also have some variity in it. So I don't know. Yeah, was that answering your question, or can you add something?
Yeah, but maybe also we work with other institutions. So we work with the University of Zurich and we work with the ETH from Zurich, and they are super curious about our methods because they are, if I say stuck is a bad word, because they have development in other regions which are super interesting, but I think they need also good ideas to make the teaching and learning more modern. What is modern? At the end you have to learn, and that is a process, but how to develop the process, it's quite changing. So I don't talk about educational, no, I missed the word, but I don't talk about to entertain the edutainment, that is the word, yeah. I talk about the process which I want to design, so maybe that is also an answer, yeah.
Thanks a lot. I think we can go. You have one question, please.
This approach dedicated for small group, or can it scale up?
We had groups with 200 people, so big semester talks, and that worked quite amazing with these techniques to activate also the people. And I think if a person is just reading his paper, and I can also read a book or whatever, or listen to a podcast, I think the interaction, the human interaction is super worth it to explore and to use at the social interaction. What the learning process is for me, a social interaction and not a singular interaction. Or
Another question.
Yeah, I've got some people I know in slightly different area, but they would really benefit from these kind of things, how to make large Zoom things or events more lively. Do you have like a set of guidelines or a short paper, or is it in your paper currently? For someone who's come from the outside, doesn't know anything about games, at some point got a master degree 30 years ago, but they would like to use it in their professional practice in a different context.
we do have a paper, but it's in German. So we have a lot of material about this, but all is in German right now. We think to translate it, but we are not that fast.
But I mean, they can contact us, and we can have a Zoom coffee.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Well, thanks a lot, ladies.
Thank you.
So we jump to the last speaker. You're ready for because our guest is coming from far away. It's Vipin Verma from the Arizona State University in the United States. So I think we have a Zoom. No, not a Zoom. And we are going to talk about content agnostic game-based stealth assessment. Okay. So he's not there. So the guy is not
everyone.
there.
My name is Vipin.
Would he
and
join
I will be
us
presenting regarding the
later on?
content agnostic game-based stealth assessment today.
Okay.
Let's say you want to teach chemical equation balancing using a game. So you make a dedicated game for that particular purpose of balancing chemical equations. But now you want to teach cryptographic encryptions using a game. And now later on, you will have 10 different topics that you want to teach using 10 different games. So instead of, as we all know that making a game is a lot of time consuming. So this is when the content agnostic mechanics comes to the rescue. In the game of Mario, you have a particular set of mechanics which work for that particular game. But so let's say you want to teach chemical equation balancing, you will have some sort of mechanics. But what if you make those mechanics to be content agnostic, independent of any content? So in such a case, you can make another game, you can teach another content using the same set of content agnostic mechanics. So these mechanics will help you save a lot of time and money. You can do more research in less time, and for the companies that work in educational games sector, it would mean more profit. This is the gauge model which Dr. Barron came up with during his dissertation. It's a component-based architecture. It has 4 components. The first component is the mechanics component, which is basically the game mechanics. In this architecture, this component is designed to be content agnostic. Then we have content component, which is replaceable component. This component basically governs what is the content that will be taught using this particular game. There can be many components which can be used here. For example, you could teach chemistry, you could teach cryptography, you could teach math, vocabulary, or whatever. Then you have student model, which is also designed to be content agnostic. It models the student learning using stealth assessment and various techniques. And then this model is then used to adapt the game to accommodate the student learning during this process. And then we have framework, which is the static part, which shown in blue here, which binds all these components together. I'll briefly walk you through the game Chemocrypt, which was developed using the content agnostic game-based architecture. This is a screenshot of the main menu of the game, in which in this game in which you can learn either cryptographic encryption or chemical equation balancing one at a time. The game mechanics involved in the game are the left and right player movement, climbing the ladder, and jumping. There are 3 distinct types of patrolling enemies, which include flying a bat. Then there are various hazards like spikes and water. The player immediately die when they come in contact with these hazards. Then there are moving platforms, which are either moving by default or start moving when player try to reach them. Then there are various coins, 1-ups, and content-specific elements scattered throughout each level. We'll talk more about the content-specific elements later on. Then there's game difficulty, which varies from 1 to 4. It basically governs the damage received from the enemy, their patrolling speed, the speed of the moving platform, and the environment layout. The higher the difficulty, the more the damage they will receive from enemy, more will be their moving speed, more will be the moving speed of platform, and the environment will be more difficult to navigate at higher difficulty than at lower difficulty. Then each level ends with a quiz, which basically asks them about the particular task. And then each level we introduce a new game mechanic over the previous level. So within each game content, the player is tasked with collecting the required number of elements in the game. And there are 3 distractors present in each level, which is basically the excess of those elements which the player need to collect. And this is done to keep in check if the player is collecting everything instead of collecting only the required number of those elements. On collecting these distractors, player receives a kickback and possible health loss depending on the content level. And then there is a 50% chance that the go text will appear once all the required molecules are collected, if there are distractors still left in the game. Otherwise, there is a 100% chance that the go text will show up. And then this is followed by a quiz about the gameplay exercise. There are a total of 4 content levels with increasing content complexity as you progress in the game. For the chemistry content, the player was tasked with collecting the correct number of elements and molecules that take part in the chemical equation to balance it. These 4 equations show the 4 tasks for each content level. And then there were excess molecules and compounds which were present on each level that would act as a distractor and that the player is not supposed to collect. Similarly, for the cryptography content, the player was tasked with encoding or decoding a piece of text using the provided encryption key. For example, for the first level, they have to encrypt the plain text attack at dawn using the key 2. Therefore, they have to collect these letters which are present in a resulting encryption, that is CVV, CEM, and so on. And again, there were different OR access of these letters present that would act as a distractor for that particular level. This animation shows a brief gameplay for the chemistry content, for the cryptography content. As you can see, when the player collected the distractor, they received a kickback and a feedback saying that they were not supposed to collect that letter. And then at the end of when they collect all the letters, they go through this small quiz in which their task is to answer the quiz correctly. There were 3 different types of assessment which were used in the game. First assessment was for determining the affect of the player, that is whether the player was bored or frustrated or were they engaged in the gameplay. This was done to adapt the game. So if the player is bored, then the game difficulty was increased. If the player was frustrated, the game difficulty was decreased. Then there was knowledge assessment, which was done with the help of dynamic Bayesian networks and the pre and post test. And then there was also an engagement assessment of engagement using the user engagement scale inventory. The FTEX software development kit was used to determine the affect of the player. The game was integrated with an FTEX software development kit from Affectiva. It uses webcam with a sampling rate of 20 Hz and outputs the probabilities of various emotions and expressions in the game. And then those emotions and expressions were used to determine the affect of players with the help of binary logistic algorithm. This network shows a simplified version of the dynamic Bayesian network which was used in the game. It consists of 6 nodes. The knowledge node basically models the knowledge that the player possesses during the game at any point of time, and this knowledge is linked to their prior knowledge. This knowledge is linked to the answers to the question that the players give, and then it also governs if they will collect or not collect the distractors, the 3 distractors which are present in the game. Then there were pre and post tests used in the game. Both of the tests consisted of 20 multiple choice questions and each had 4 choices for the player. Then there was a user engagement scale which was used for the engagement assessment. It had 25 items on a 5-point Likert scale and consisted of 4 factors which were aesthetics, perceived usability, satisfaction, and focused attention. That's it. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you so much for attending this.
Okay. So it will be difficult to have some questions because the guy is not there. Unfortunately, I cannot answer instead of him. So I think what we are gonna do, we make. Whatever you want, it's okay. To make the round table, we need some people at the table. It's a fact. Yeah, absolutely. He's online. He could join us.
We talk about education, so
You do the virtual reality things, right?
yeah.
Very good. I wanted to talk to you about this.
So they all already have a topic to discuss, so that's fine. That's good. You can pitch up the
How do we see
the round
Craig?
table.
Does Craig see us?
Yeah, well, you can sit there.
And I just wonder, what does he see?
Yeah, I think he see us. This is the camera, so
Hello.
but we don't see him.
Just,
Ah, yes, now.
ah.
And he's speaking. Would you sit there or?
Yes.
But I don't think you see the other participant or not?
Yeah, very good.
No, I just see yourself.
J'ai pas compris. Ah, okay.
You can turn the laptop.
No. It's better, huh? You know me already. That's fine.
Stefan, what? Oh, she had to go home. Yep. But whenever I don't know, I will just say Charlotte would say, and then invent something.
So we will have a short round table to match the timing that was been shortened. Initially, the theme of the round table was about gamification, serious game in education and training, a must-have for better learning or a playground for better teaching. But what's behind that? What's behind the topic? Actually, it's a bit provocative, but the idea is to say, is it really worthy to have a gamification process to learn or not, or to better learn or not? And is it simply something for the teacher to have fun jobs? Because I heard you this morning, you said, I love my job because this is playing. So the thing is, do we learn to play or do we play to learn? Talk is yours.
Let me clarify something. I've not been using game for teaching, except
No,
it is on.
Yeah, it's on,
It's
yeah.
green. Yeah. Well, we've been using game in our virtual reality course is as a project. So they had to design a game. So by group of 3 students, as a mini project throughout the course, 5 to 6 weeks period, and that was, I would say, the natural framework for the student to master these 3D interaction techniques. We were wanting them to put in place, to experience through. We gave only a few structuring guidelines. You should have this type of interaction and so on. And then they were rather free to invent any gameplay they would like that would fit. As long as we had those type of interaction we wanted, involving locomotion, involving manipulation of object, throwing, various actions, because we are a lot into full body, making the user use full body movement to take advantage of this into virtual reality. So this is our point. So it was kind of one of these strong guidelines behind the project structure we had. That overall students really like they get really involved, but of course there is this issue of time. It's very often some of them in the end they cannot make it because they don't have enough time to master this framework such as Unity. It requires it's not that easy to master from just a small optional course with 4 credits. Yeah. But overall, the majority of them, yeah, they were successful. So yeah, this is my only experience to take advantage of game to attract students to learn the content of this course of VR. Yeah.
Okay, so that means that this was really a way to catch up students to come to join the course to actually learn about your topic through the gamification process.
Yeah, so although game is not in the course title itself, so I
Okay.
think they are more attracted by the fact VR in itself is already attractive. But on top of that, there is this game-oriented project.
I would say we have Greg, and Greg wants to say something.
You know, thinking about learning and education, I guess, is different from my side of things, because I'm very much not classroom based, in that the groups I'm dealing with are a subset of the general public and will be doing sort of learning and education in non-captive space. Imagine a botanic garden or something similar where there's a lot of other demands on their time. So I think for me, if we're looking at, is it a way to, better education or a way for people to enjoy themselves, I think it's very much in the enjoyment space, because if we can get that enjoyment, if we can get that capitalize on the short time that we have, then the type of learning we're trying to do, the type of material we're trying to teach, I think
Craig,
that's really kind of where we sit, and I appreciate
say
it.
something because
Yeah.
no one understands. I understood space.
So Greg, I'm sorry, but
Craig, we didn't understand
the quality of the
you.
speech was, I mean, our speaker is very troubled,
not you.
sounds very difficult to understand. So
I'll try again and see if it works. I'll also go a little bit slower. We Scots tend to speak very fast. So
maybe if you can speak higher, but
Can you sing it?
I can do it.
you have okay.
Okay, we are trying to fix it.
Shall I try again, or are we?
Okay, there it's better.
Okay, cool. See, I try to think what I was saying there. So, effectively, the looking, to apply this sort of education I'm working are sort of non-captive audience botanic gardens. So for me, it's definitely a case of how we maximize the learning in the short space of time to have people, because we don't have the luxury of putting people in a classroom for however long a lesson lasts. So I can appreciate where we're coming at how we do learning and how we do apply games gamification in a slightly different way, which is very interesting to hear how a classroom situation differs from what we're doing. That's quite exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think it's. Should I
Yeah,
continue?
go ahead.
I think it's really important. You're talking about classroom. Yeah, we're learning and teaching together with this question for this panel. What's more important, gamification in learning or teaching? It has to come together, because if you also teach games, game design, and you forget kind of yourself to play, then you either have no credibility in a way, but also maybe there's there's a whole scale of understanding between games and gamification. You just think you're giving out badges or points, or is it really about the transformation that games and play can lead to, and the rise of motivation that I think is so important for the power of games. And that is, for me, the essence of using games for education. I don't know how you see that, and I think virtual reality offers a great possibility, again, also for playground, because it's kind of a new technology now with Oculus Quest 2. Everyone can kind of afford it at home. I was at a VR conference last week, which was extremely odd on Spatial. I don't know, do you know the app, Spatial.io?
No.
You have like scanned your upper body, and then everyone kind of floats around in space, looking a little bit like themselves. It's like uncanny valley per se, and then someone stands there and speaks and has really big notes there, and then someone else scribbles a donkey on it, and then someone else deletes the notes by chance because they're playing around, and it's complete mayhem. It's really, you see there's a new media, and we don't know yet how to use it, kind of.
Greg, did you see that? Did you?
No, I'm just enjoying the discussion there. I mean, I definitely think augmented and virtual reality, are really exciting new technologies. I've had the pleasure. Well, I own an Oculus Quest 2, so I definitely get the enjoyment factor there. And I've had the pleasure of experimenting with the HoloLens from Microsoft, and I can definitely see how those technologies can be applied. I think for me just now, it's more a factor of cost and scale. As much as we'd love to have, maybe a classroom for those devices, it does get when it comes to cost. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens once the technology gets to a point where it can be in everyone's pocket. It'll be a really exciting day.
Thank you, Greg. Has anyone some question or remarks to do on the ongoing speech? No one? Shall we go ahead? Yeah.
Perhaps just a small comment about the initial question you have asked at the beginning. Is gamification good for the student to better learn or for the teacher to enjoy his teaching? And I think the 2 points are very related, because in general, when you ask students why you like this content or this lecture or this course, it's already related to the professor or to the teacher and the way the teacher presents things and enjoy his teaching. So if we manage to enjoy our teaching, I think automatically people will get it better, and the learning will be better. And of course, when so it's let's say it's a duality, and I think we can gain in both sides.
So you're saying that it's efficient? Because at the end, the result is that supposed to be in education and training, it's supposed to get a result.
At least the experience shows that there is many added value, and there is a lot of enhancing of motivation, engagement, self learning, which is improved with such approach. It's more or less a fact. It's not hypothesis.
Yeah, because we had a talk just previously that teach us, actually it was you, Greg, who showed us that actually there was some difference on the second shot of testing, that the result was better, but globally at the result, finally, there was no such a big difference between the results of the non-game-based and the game-based. And actually, the real differentiation was more on the enjoyable factor than the learning factor.
That's a fair summation of the outcome. And I think that really for me is a question of what do people find enjoyable. Another piece of work that I did prior to this one, actually, we went and asked the public, what is it you enjoy in a game? What would you want to see? And the main takeaway is that there's no one-size-fits-all solution, and people will like opposing things. And I guess the same will be for students as well. You may have, like puzzle games and learning material around that. I think, as we touched back on my point, but understanding that enjoyment is important.
Yeah, sorry, I think you to repeat the last sentences because it was completely shut down.
Sure, no worries. Saying that basically that, lots of senses, but you may have students who like different types of game. So if you start to say a puzzle game, student A might like it, student B might dislike it. And it's then how do we understand that enjoyment and how we're able to replicate it in a way where you're not, I guess, diverting a lot of resource, away from teaching, at the same time providing an experience that, the majority of students or majority of participants actually find enjoyable and take benefit from.
Thank you. I've moved to hear you because otherwise I didn't hear you. So thanks a lot. Any comment? Additional comment?
I heard keyword enjoyment. Is that right? Yes. I can say something about that. We have been talking a lot about using games for teaching equals fun or enjoyment. It doesn't necessarily have to be, because I think in this way it's just another method of teaching or didactics, which needs the same kind of preparation and conveying or persuading or whatever. But for me, I think activation or engagement is the real reward when something like this works, like using games or playful approaches in teaching, and then feeling engaged myself, but also see the students being engaged. I mean, we talked before that it's not always about having fun, of course, but the real treasure is engagement or motivation, I think. What do you say, Ronan?
No, that's why we choose them as a project topic to design a game. So, of course, that's support motivation and make them be, well, hopefully creative. But this is their degree of freedom, design space. This is where they can come with a crazy idea, yeah. And so to complete what I said before, we have Oculus 2 Quest that all of them have this, and during this pandemic time they could bring it with them at home, and they could organize out of the school. So the course was not that disrupted due to the fact they could not gather at school, but they could borrow the devices. And so this is important for them to actually hands-on, as you insist a lot. Indeed, they must be this dimension. Code and test and move.
Oh, can I?
Yeah.
Did you or did the students then meet in collaborative spaces in VR?
Not yet. We don't have such tool, but in the future that would be something to consider. Well, each year we buy, let's say, like 10 of these HMDs, Oculus Quest. So maybe after a few years we'll have enough so that each student within a group will have their own at home, and then that's where indeed sharing a virtual space through these devices might be possible, yeah. But at the moment, only one of them could try the virtual environment, and the other one would be through Discord or through Zoom to write and share code. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Any last comment before we close the session? No, so I have one. It was, to catch up on the last keyword, it was a very enjoyable moment of speech and talk. And I thank you everyone for joining us to this last afternoon of the GSGS. Hope to see you soon, next year at least, for another topics of gamification. And I think now we have some protocols and some types of activities to close up. Applause. So allez up the speech.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
Thank
to you.
so much. So we'll make a short break of 10 minutes, and afterward, I will make a short presentation, 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, I would say. And please, please stay with us. Greg, he left. Oh, he's
Yeah, sorry,
back.
don't worry.
Yeah, he's back.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll just switch off because I
Going
don't want
to
to be on the
party.
screen permanently.
Yes, if you can stay for a bit while, that would be great. And so we'll see you in 5 to 10 minutes afterward. peux directement mettre mon ordi ou pas? Je peux directement mettre l'ordi? Est-ce que je peux mettre mon ordi ou
Là
tu veux... Oui.
Bon, on n'a
Ok.
jamais fait de...
Ok, alors il faut que tu le... Je sais pas si tu as eu le... De quoi?
De ton speech là?
Dans 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Hein. Ouais, il faudrait que ce soit par là. Merci beaucoup. Et puis, alors si tu peux, parce qu'ils sont fragiles et ils se décollent. Et puis il y a aussi le papier avec le sanitaire à récupérer. Ça, en plus, c'est celui de pour nous, pour les archives. Non mais je demanderai quand même à tout le monde du comité de venir. I will ask the executive committee member to come with me. Okay, Sam is staying over there. C'est ton job. Ouais, vous pouvez vous asseoir, ouais. Ouais. Yeah. Tu l'as pas lancé. Tu l'as lancé. Well, thank you to be there again and still. Everything has an end, I suppose. And here is a small presentation for the ending of their conference. So basically, the conference was made of 7 sessions, 3 online, with Julien Schechter, and there was also 4 on-site and online at the same time. There was also 4 roundtables, and there was also 3 main speeches with keynote speakers, and we had even an invited guest who contributes a lot, especially when Bjorn was saying some stuff that was quite controversial. The dog was there to say, not sure about that. We had yesterday quite a night for the social event on a boat, and just now we will have some trophy. So there is 3 trophies: the best student contribution, the best paper, and the best speech. So it seems to be that this computer does not have the font I used. So that's why we have only a best student contre.
This is gamification.
Yeah. You have to guess. It's a kind of game, you know. So I hope the names of people will not be shrinked too. For
But
the
there is a film, you said.
oh yes,
it.
there is a film.
Yeah.
That is very true.
So every year, Gordon Savage, which is member of the executive committee, is responsible of designing with his students our trophies, and we will see small films, video about this experience.
My name is Gordon Savicic, and I was in charge of co-designing this year's awards. Together with Johan Pardo from the School of University of Art and Design in Geneva, we designed this year's awards, which you can see in. We have different variations. We have like a best student award, best talk, and the best paper award. And what inspired us this year was actually the idea of playing with depth and the illusion of space. So what you can already see here in the video, if you're turning the trophy, it kind of creates this kind of endless space and this infinite mirror game. Not only that, we also have like here on the bottom, you can see some slits that reveal a certain hidden function, which I will quickly demonstrate here. Just like if you can find a light source, here it's my mobile phone, then you're, oops, so where are we? Then you can actually you can individualize your trophy even further, and you can kind of walk around and explore and discover each individual layer itself and create even more optical illusions. So it's really an object that invites the winning person to play with, to play around with. And I would like already to say, yeah, thank you to all the contributions, and of course, congratulations to the winners who are fortunate to take this beautiful object home. This is from my side. Have a great ceremony, and see you soon, or see you next year at the GSGS'22.
Thank you, Gordon. Thank you, Gordon.
I would like also to point out the tremendous work of Gordon and his student, because every year it's very, very different. So I don't know if you've seen the previous year's contribution. And also there is a secret message here. I give you a hint, it's there.
You have to find it.
You have to find it. Okay, so for the best student contribution. The red one. Ta-da! Greg Docherty. Are you still online?
I am indeed still online. Thank you very much.
So if you can.
Quoi?
C'est pas grave. C'est open bar. C'est pas grave.
Hello, congratulations.
Hey.
Hi, Greg. This is
Thank
your
you
trophy.
very much.
So
Thank you.
and thank you so much for your great job. We believe the paper and the speech and the subject itself was really, really interesting. So congratulations. Okay. I have to go back there.
I will send you your trophy. Don't worry, Greg.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, you should worry. Okay, now for the best paper. Ta-da! Fernanda Oliveira from the University of Sydney, Australia. Switch. Where is she?
Here.
She's here. Ta-da!
So you're here, Oliveira?
Oh yeah, you're here.
Yes, I am. Of course, I'm here. Ta-da!
I wouldn't miss it.
This will be sent to you also in Austria. We have to find maybe a wood box because it's quite far. Okay, next.
So thank you for your contribution.
Thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you so
Excellent
much.
paper.
I'm very, very happy.
Excellent paper. Ta-da. Hop, hop. I will get used to that. And the last but not the least for the best talk, who will be? Ta-da! Sophie Walker. And she's here. Please come. So because it's a best talk, she has to say some stuff.
Oh, I have to say some stuff. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. And yeah, on a sentimental note, it's good to have a community of people who care about educational games and gamification, and I really believe that if we continue to exchange our ideas and our knowledge, we're going to do a lot of really cool stuff in the future that's going to benefit a lot of people. So let's keep on doing this. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Great job and great subject.
A nice paper.
Okay, it's not finished yet because we add something hidden in the proceeding. So, we have someone, two persons who are there, please. A person from Entrée de Jeu and Yotis. Please come. They decoded the secret sentence
In the proceeding.
In the proceeding, but I will not say, really, I will not say where it is and what it is. You will have to take a look and find by yourself if you are interested. Please don't say. Thank you so much, and congratulations. They spend hours on it. A what?
Do we have a proof?
A proof? Yeah. They send an email and.
Yeah, we have the email.
We have the email.
No, you have to find
You have to
it by
find it.
yourself.
Yes. I will not
It's a
say.
one-year game. we will give the answer next year.
And he will pay for the gifts, the follow-up. But of course, if you succeed to find the sentence, you please send me an email, and I will tell you if it is the case. Okay. Special thanks. Special thanks are due to Noemi, Oemi, it seems to be, from from Contreforme and in Neuchâtel. Basically, she made the tremendous design of this edition. Actually, was like all the previous ones. So warm communication too. There's also Julien Sen, a very, very big, warm for Julien, who did a great job concerning all the administration, and thanks so much.
90% of the...
Yeah, 90, and he will get 9%, of course, of the reward. And also Montserrat Guinness, who spent a lot of time on the English proofreading of all the papers and what has been published. So please. Special thanks are also due to the sponsors, because without them we will not be there and not spending some time on a boat like yesterday. So the Swiss Confederation, our main sponsors, and the InnoSuisse program, and of course l'HEARC, who helped us really a lot. HESSO, which is also part of it, we are kind of big family, but its director part also contribute a lot. And of course, many thanks, and Dominique is there as a witness for all the work and all our welcome in this great place that is La Source. Thank you so much, Dominique. Merci beaucoup, beaucoup, beaucoup. Just a little word about a game-related conference in Switzerland that will come very soon. It's the SEM SIGGRAPH conference on motion, interaction, and game that will be held in EPFL. And actually, Ronan Boulic is one of the manager of it. So please contribute to this very nice event coming very soon in November. What else? Next, GSGS. Well, we should 99% chance to be held in EPIA for the GSGS 2022. 2020, it's a lot of twos. and we hope to be on the German-speaking part of Switzerland for GSGS 2023. Hopefully in Zurich. Maybe. Okay. Thank you in advance for that. Many thanks for your contribution. Many thanks for listening, and hopefully I'll see you all next year at GSGS 22. And many thanks also to Sam, who was holding all the hardware and cameras and sound. That was so complicated. Bye-bye to everyone, and farewell, and have a great weekend. Sunshine in Switzerland.
And see you in Geneva next year.
Et voilà.